Hello and greetings everyone. It's been exactly 12 months since my last video, and I have had the intuitive guidance to share more information with the greater community once again. It is an honour for me to be sharing this information. I know the experiences that I have are, to me, I consider them a privilege. To have had the experiences of travelling beyond this reality on many occasions, which allow me or give me the comfort of having these points of reference that many people don't have. And I do see it as a privilege, and with that privilege I also know in my heart that comes great responsibility that comes along with that privilege. So I feel a great sense of obligation and responsibility in sharing this information with the wider community. And I wish to begin with an explanation of the word philosophy. My interpretation, and I feel it's a greater interpretation and an originating, birthing interpretation of the word, is two Greek words, philo and sophi. And philo is friend, and Sophie is Sophia, and so one who expresses themselves in philosophy is a friend of Sophia. And I see myself as I know myself as to be an emissary for Mother Earth, and therefore an emissary of Sophia, and I do see myself as a friend of Sophia. The other thing I will like to share with you is that this video is labelled Our Journey and the Greatest Secret on Earth. And I've titled it that because the information I will be sharing with you is the most closely guarded piece of information that is kept from the human race at this time. I've touched on it already on my previous talk, which I did 12 months ago, but I will go into more detail of it, and I will share with you another incredible experience that I had. Last time I spoke of having been taken to the moon, and I've had another experience which I didn't share at the time, but I feel I'm ready to share, and I feel it's appropriate to share at this time, and that is the journey that I took to Mars. And before I go down that path, I need to share a brief overview of the structure of the universe. I will do it briefly because it'll once again bring everything back into context of what this discussion is going to be about. So I wish to share with you that once again in 2003 I took a journey up through the dimensions of our universe and discovered life beyond our universe and beyond what we refer to as God, the creator of our universe. Everything is a being, a galaxy. Each galaxy is its own individual consciousness. So every single galaxy out there is a being, every single star is a being, every single planet is a being, everything's alive. So therefore this universe is a being, and that's what we refer to as God, or the creator of this universe. And what I discovered when I went to the very top of our universe and got to see beyond, outside and beyond our universe, is that we all exist out there as well in the omniverse, and there's countless amount of universes out there, and I could not perceive the end to life, even from such a great height, if you want to put it that way. And what I discovered was that all the universes out there are individual beings, so we're all gods really in our own right. So what I also discovered was an aspect of each person has come into this universe because it wanted to work to learn how to express itself and how to become a co-creator or a creator using what we call light, because this universe is the expression of light, and everyone's wanted to come inside of this being in order to learn that process. And so if you can imagine many dimensions, and I won't go into the detail of it, you can look at my previous documentary or video called Our Journey in the Grand Ascension. I went into the detail then. And so there's many dimensional levels, and we've taken a journey down through these dimensions because in order to learn how to become a creator through in using light energy, we need to experience every aspect of it. And we need to live every aspect of it. All the good, all the bad, all the evil, all the love, everything, the whole lot. And otherwise we cannot graduate and become a creator God, so to speak. So we've come down through the dimensions of the universe and, and exhausted all possibilities and outcomes on every one of those levels. And it was also a journey into expansion because it's a waveform universe and its structure. Obviously, it's also a polarized universe or a duality-based universe. And therefore, the journey down through the dimensions of the universe is a journey away from the Godhead and a journey into separation. And once we got to the most expansive point possible, the next phase in this, what we refer to as the grand plan of creation or the will of God, is, and it has many names, each culture's got its own version of it, is a plan that is to bring everything back towards oneness again. And that plan has started off with the largest dimension in physical size and the furthest into separation that we went, which we refer to as in my model, I'll refer to as the fourth dimension. And all the galaxies, countless galaxies, beyond trillions that were created. And then there was a single galaxy that was created, and that galaxy was to be a fractal of all other galaxies. So it was the densest galaxy that was created, which is ours, the Milky Way galaxy, and the being that manifested itself as that galaxy is the feminine consciousness of the being that is this universe, or God, or the creator of this universe. That's who the Milky Way galaxy is, the divine, what we refer to as the Divine Mother. And she, it's really, and we call it the Milky Way galaxy because of the nurturing of the mother's milk. So it is a galactic womb, and all the star systems that have been created inside this galactic womb are fractals of galaxies. So each star system is a representative or condensing down a smaller version of a galaxy. So all life out there is represented within our galaxy. So there are many ambassadors here, and so each star, each planetary body that's in here have many codes in them, and this galaxy became the centre of attention in the universe and has been for a very long time because of the amount of information that is compressed and stored within our galaxy. Now, once everybody came into our galaxy and sorted each other out, so to speak, jostling for positions and working out our karma, the road back to compression, back to density, went to the next level, and that was inside what we refer to as the Orion Nebula. And then after that, we then condensed it back down into the solar system, which we are in here now, our solar system. And that is because the sun which is the being that is this entire solar system, the foundational energy behind it, is the masculine energy of this universe, manifesting itself as the sun in order to facilitate the very next level of our journey. And then after that, we need to compress it down again and take it from an entire solar system and manifest a planet and have life condensed down into a single planetary body. And the being that has manifested herself as this planet is the Divine Mother, or the Milky Way galaxy again, and I've missed out an intermediate level known as Sirius, and then down again into Mother Earth. So I did discuss these in detail on my previous DVD. Now that in itself is a very profound knowledge, because to understand how a reality is created, and to understand how it is we have all come to be here in the first place. Once we understand our very reasons for our existence here, it is critical piece of knowledge to have that wisdom and to remember that, because this knowing has been buried underneath layers and layers and layers of misinformation. And that's part of our journey to separation, to experience that as well. So we have this journey that has taken us from the higher reaches of the universe, and we've come down through all the dimensions, vast journey into separation. Now we're bringing it back into oneness and what we refer to as 0 point. And the 0 point issue is really important as well, because what that initially says is it really means finding centre again, absolute centre. That's what 0 point is referring to. So everything's being compressed, and each step of the way was becoming more dense and more compressed, and it felt like it was further into separation. And in a way it was, but in a way it wasn't, because it's a symbiotic relationship. The more density we're going into in bringing everything together, the closer we're getting to 0 point at the same time. And so this incredible long journey that we're on is about to come to an end, and that is at the close of this cycle, which we refer to as the precession of the equinoxes. So understanding who our sun is, and who this incredible being that we call Mother Earth is, to understand the sacrifice that being has made is just, the magnitude of that sacrifice is incredible. I've discussed it before again, and I always feel it so deep in my heart, the journey that this magnificent lady has undertaken, facilitating everything that's been going on here for such a long period of time. The other issue I want to raise with that is this propaganda campaign, a negative propaganda campaign that's been raging on this planet now intensely for the last 12,000 years. It really has been, and about 6,000 years ago it went to a whole new level, and the amount of misinformation and that's being disseminated, and the amount of truth that's being hidden from the people on this planet. At the moment, everywhere I look, there's a negative campaign against the sun, against the being that has been the sun, the many forms of that being has been, the interpretations of that being. All of a sudden that being is evil, and there's even a reference in biblical scriptures to the name of that being called Apollo or Apollyon, and apparently that being is incredibly evil. So I would really think hard about that, and you make up your own mind on that, but I have a good understanding of who the sun is. And so at this stage of the game, the information that is really out there doing the rounds, I would really be careful in accepting a lot of it. I would dig hard into what's behind the dissemination of that information, and what is their angle, and why would they do that? Why would someone want to turn you against the sun? the being that gives light and life to everything in this reality, in this solar system. And the other one is Mother Earth. There's so much reference to the moon being the feminine, and there's not that much reference to the Mother Earth being the divine mother and the divine feminine. And that's another thing that I will look at very closely. I don't see what the big deal, honestly, I don't see what the big deal is about if those beings wanted to manifest an incarnation and walk this earth. I know they have done so in the past on many occasions. It happens in every solar system in the galaxy. It is quite normal for any planetary body to manifest whatever life form is incarnated on its own body and experience that life on that level itself. Why not? What is the big deal? So that's another question, another angle, another perspective to consider. It's normal in the rest of the universe. Why is it such a big issue here? Just another point to consider. I wish to share now with you a understanding of when a reality actually is created. Now, what happens is, on a high level, beings have a meeting, and the experience that is required, the beings come together who need to have that experience. And a being will volunteer, become a planetary body, and in doing so, an energetic pattern, a vibration, a frequency is injected into a particular location within the universe, and that then emanates outwards. And so when this planet was created, or this solar system was created, a particular vibration was resonating out, because everything expresses itself. So if you're an individual person, or you're a tree, or you're a mountain, or you're a planetary body, or you're a solar system, you have your own unique vibration. Now that call went out to the far reaches of the universe. So to understand that we have come here from all corners, all the corners of the universe, some vast distances, to incarnate here on earth, to have this experience. And people say that this isn't really real, it's just an illusion, it's just a dream. That is a very dangerous campaign that is designed to completely undermine the validity of this experience, of this reality, and of the sacrifices that all the beings involved in this process have endured. It is a massive undertaking to create a single planetary body that is going to contain within it, within that reality, and within the life, the paramount life form that is to occupy that reality, all the codes of the universe. All the codes of the universe. On one level, this is the most prized possession. Our genetics and the genetic codes here are the most prized possession in the universe. And there are a group of beings who are insanely jealous, and I mean insanely jealous, of who we all are and what we are all doing here. And their only interest is to totally undermine the credibility of this reality, to totally undermine your own sense of self-worth and reason and purpose and intent for existing here, and to devalue and debunk this whole situation here, this whole experience and this whole reality. The understanding of who manifested herself as this planet, and the understanding of the sacrifice that that being has made for all of us is, I feel, and I'm sure many beings out there in the greater universe feel, is a real key ingredient to understanding and resonating with who we all are, and understand that this knowing has been buried underneath layers upon layers, over thousands of years of twisted truths and manipulations. And that when you're reading ancient texts, it's not necessarily the truth, because thousands of years before them, they're running off a story which thousands of years before them was manipulated, which thousands of years before them was manipulated. So to understand the real truth, you will only ever find the real truth deep in here, deep within yourself. And like I say, I have the luxury and the privilege of my experiences, and that's the responsibility and obligation that I have to humanity. So we have out there in the greater public arena at the moment a perception that is being created, and it's being created from many different angles, from channelings, from so-called guides and so-called ascended masters, to people who have contact with extraterrestrial groups, varying different ones. They all seem to have slight differences, but pretty much the same story. And then we have the guru thing going on, and that's a great experience for people who want to give their power away. I mean, that's a great journey for that. And all sorts of things, religious groups and everything. And there's just, there's minor differences, and people think that these are all different, vastly different perceptions, but they're not. The actual main story, or the main theme, is probably a better way to put it, behind each one of these small individual paradigms is roughly the same. And so people are just simply reacting, okay, to the dramas that are being created out there as well, with the political agendas, issues of climate change, warring parties, and these are all dramas that are being created by these particular factions, off-world factions that are running the show here. They want to keep everyone busy, they want to keep everyone engaged and plugged into this matrix of drama. And they've got a cookbook with a recipe that's designed to fit everyone. I mean, whatever your thing is, they've got it for you. And if they haven't trapped you in this paradigm, then they've got this one to get you. And if they haven't trapped you in those two, then they've got another one to get you in. And there's just one after the other. So to actually remove yourself out of the forest, get out of the trees and see the forest as a whole for what it actually is. Only a few have been able to do that, and so as I mentioned before, we have many different paradigms that have been created to capture each person within each individual paradigm. There's many different kinds. So we have basically, through that process, a greater paradigm, which still is really quite small, that the majority of people are being contained within. Now I wish to move on to the subject of more detail of the greatest secret that has been, the most closely guarded secret that has been kept from the greater community. And it has its origins, and I will go back to the period of the late 60s, early 70s, where there was a series of experiments and that were run within a project called the Montauk projects. I know many people are familiar with the Montauk projects. It's been bandied around the internet, the conspiracy circles, and there's many theories and what have you going around. I'm now going to share with you the body of knowledge that I know, and the way I've obtained this body of knowledge is from my experiences and also from my knowings, and the knowings that come from, again I reiterate, beyond the mind. They do not come through the mind, they come from here in the body, they emanate from the heart centre, and it is from my consciousness, which is an aspect of me that functions beyond the mind. That's very important to understand that, and that allows you to connect with even paradigms or bodies of knowledge known as the Akashic records and also beyond. And the access to the information I get is slightly different to what most people have heard out there on the internet, but I will share it because it's coming from my heart, and I know this resonates with my heart, and it's important that I share that. The Montauk projects were designed to achieve two outcomes. It was an experiment into mind control, and which I have been on the receiving end on throughout the years, and that's why I feel I have the experience, and on one level I have the authority to get up and speak about it. They are insidious in the way they go about it, and it's taken me many years to work through it and to come out the other end of it. And I see the influences that this technology has on people throughout our community and even within close circles of friends. It's unfortunate that it takes place, but it does, and it's very cleverly designed to maintain the status quo and maintain an order within the community. The other project that took place in that area had to do with time travel. Now this is really important. They were breeding people there, not only for mind control programs, but they needed to breed the right person that had the right genetic codes in order to be able to sit in a time chair which was created by, and this experiment was run by draconian overlords through the Greys and the Reptilians, which are lower orders, and it was a very important experiment because they had come to this world, and through their discovery of the genetic codes here, and because, you know, out there in the greater cosmos, genetics are really the number one commodity possession. Mineral substances are second on the ladder there. As far as true acquiring or attaining of power through physical means, genetics is the way to do it out there. And it's not something I aspire to, I can assure you that. And but I do know about it, and through my experiences, not only in this lifetime here on this planet, but through the aspects of me on galactic levels. So they created a time chair because they wanted to know where this reality was heading, because this is what these beings do. They don't have the ability to connect with the greater consciousness of life, so they need to manipulate things and find out things through technology and the way they go about living their lives. And so they created this time chair and they went forward in time. And what they discovered was they were travelling forward in time, and then all of a sudden they hit a wall. And what I mean by that is they hit a wall in time, meaning that they didn't literally hit a brick wall, they hit a period in time where this reality ceased to exist. And everything went to pure light. Now, there's information getting around on the internet that's come out of the last 3 decades that says that someone got to mention that it at least happened once. And then after that, they went on to other timelines, and then of course the fantastic story of the Greys and our future timeline, and that whole charade becomes a reality once again. The truth of the matter is that they went forward on multiple occasions, and each time they went forward, they went via a different route, because that's what happens. You never travel the same timeline twice. And every time they went forward, every time they come to that point in time, everything went pure light, and this reality ceased to exist. Now, the date that this occurred on just happens to be the 21st of March 2013. Now, it's important to know this, because once you understand that they have discovered this for themselves through their own experiments, that on that day this reality ceased to exist and everything here goes pure light. Now, the other thing it's important to know is they've known this for decades. They've known what's coming. This is not new to them behind the scenes. This is the most closely guarded secret. And they know what's going to occur here. Now, because of the way a reality gets created and a life gets created, it's important to understand that when you have a life form that has been created on a planetary body, you cannot just take that planetary body, that being, and go and plonk it on another planet. You can't do that. If you do that, let alone the physical environment being magically the same atmosphere, the same temperature ranges, the same chemical compounds in the natural environment, which is rare because the life is so diverse in the universe. People don't understand is that there is magnetic lines through our bodies, electromagnetic energy patterns, and etheric energy patterns. And even if you take someone to another planetary body that has a similar vibration, not exactly the same, over a period of time, the internal organs start to break down, the energetic lines start to break down, and the body and the being just starts to break down. And the longer that being stays in that vibrational environment, that eventually it will kill it. So that is a well-known fact throughout the universe. So anyone who's been taken from here to another world, and I have journeyed myself to other worlds, so I understand this firsthand, that you cannot stay there for very long, and you can only stay there if an artificial environment has been created for you for any length of time. Knowing that, and knowing about the Greys and the reptilians, because they see us as their cattle, as their human herd, they need to find a new home in order to continue the slavery of humanity and continue to feed off the resources of humanity, to empower themselves. So for them to be able to do that, they need to find a new home. So what they have done is they have begun a project, and this is a project that is another part of this closely guarded secret on this earth. I haven't heard it mentioned anywhere, and I will share the name of this project, and it is called Project Genesis. And the reason it is called Project Genesis is because they are in the process, and they have for a few decades now, they are in the process of re-terraforming Mars. They have got a colony on Mars. I myself personally, the time has come to share the information of my journey to Mars myself. I was taken to Mars. I was summoned by the matriarch of Mars. It is a matriarchal society, and the beings that took me there are shape-shifting, the ability to shape-shift from their form into human form, and that's taken a long time for them to be able to do that through genetic experiments, from a fish-type being to a human form. Now, I was taken there in their craft, which does not take long at all, a couple of minutes, and once we got there, I was taken to the side of the planet, which was more of a night time, and I did not see a blue sky, so I saw a dark sky. There is atmosphere on the planet. It was very rocky, and I was asked to actually go swimming into a lake, because to access the cavern where the matriarch was, I had to swim under the water and come up from underneath a cliff face to a dwelling inside under the ground. And I won't go into too much of the detail here on this video. Maybe one day when someone wishes to discuss this any further with me, I will. All I'll say is that I did meet with that matriarch, and one thing I can tell you is that there is religions that have been created on this planet, false pagan religions and false goddess worshipping religions. And one thing I do know is that this female being is the one that benefits from those that are worshipping those religions, occults, whatever you want to call them. When I got back, because I had to submerge myself in that water, I absolutely stunk of a fish smell. That being shapeshifted, that took me there, did not shapeshift into a dolphin type being. It was more along the lines of a catfish, but without the big whiskers. It was a different type of species, and large as well. Not a small fish like yay big. I'm talking probably in the vicinity of 5 to 6 foot in length. So, sounds crazy, I know, to a lot of people. I'm sharing with you this because my life has been incredibly intense, and I've had incredible experiences, and the knowledge that I've gained that I share with the wider community is because of this first-hand knowledge and first-hand experiences. The smell was overwhelming. When I was put back into my bed, my body absolutely reeked, and I had to wash myself and wash my bed sheets, and it was not a pleasant experience. The knowledge that I got from this project known Project Genesis, it's been running, like I said, for a few decades, and it's important to understand that once a being has been, a life has been created on a planetary body, like I said, it is difficult to remove it. So removing it from this planet is a difficult thing. To remove it from the solar system is another thing altogether again. So because each star system has its own unique vibration. So physically and logistically and scientifically, the easiest thing for these ET races is to keep their human herd within the solar system. And so the next best thing they can do is to recreate life on Mars, which is our closest neighbours. It's within the solar system, and it is the most friendly physical environment to our form. Mars has been occupied for millions of years, and they live underground, and people that will be taken there will at this stage mostly be living underground. And then what they do is too, for the people that are going there, because you know there's between 500,000 to 1 million people there already. I don't know the exact numbers now, but thereabouts. And what they're doing is they are genetically altering the people. So they will say that you need a whole range of vaccinations, and what they do is they are most of the time pumping the people with nanites, and these nanites then go into the body and are able to acclimatise the body and maintain the body in a particular energetic vibration. And that's how they're managing to do it. And they have also created areas which are like holding areas or acclimatising areas. So when people first get taken there, they have a vibration in a particular area that's very, very similar to Earth, and then they slowly step them out into other areas which are each one stepped further away from Earth and closer to Mars. And it's a series of areas that these people get taken to, and it's a series of time frames that they must spend in each vibrational area, till eventually they are genetically and energetically reprogrammed to the vibration of Mars. And even then, there are a lot of people who are falling ill on Mars because, like I said, the very vibration of the planet, it's foreign to them, to their genetic makeup. So These are the bits and pieces that I don't hear talked about on the internet, and to understand the detailed processes behind the scenes that are going on. There's a lot to this. It's not let's beam them up and then plonk them there. It's not like that. There's a lot more to it. The next incredible piece of information I wish to share, which is part of, again, one of the most closely guarded secrets on this planet, has to do with the Hadron Collider. Now, the experiments there were obviously to recreate the Big Bang and find the seed of life itself. Now, what we have is, that everyone knows, is a periodic table of elements. So you have the realities made up of certain elements. And within those elements you have what's known as a table or a chart which rates those elements on their stability. You have elements that are incredibly stable and you have elements which are incredibly unstable. So the scientific community has what's known as a stability factor. It's a table or it's a chart which rates them in a numerical chart range of stability. Now, one of the reasons why they turned off the Hadron Collider, or they completely freaked out after the first series of experiments and shut it down for a while, which you would have got told was for monetary reasons or whatever else you got told, is because they discovered that all of the elements, and I mean all of the elements, in this reality are becoming unstable. And I have cited via, if you want to call it remote viewing, I travelled with my consciousness and I cited the paperwork. And the actual forms were worded, and this is word for word, I'm going to quote from the form. What they discovered was, because they did the first experiment, then they did another one, and then they did another one, and every time they did one experiment after the other, the elements become unstable. And then from that point on, they were even more unstable. And the next time they created an experiment, they were even more unstable. So they got scared first up. They were stricken with fear. They thought they were creating the instability themselves. Sure, that's perfectly rational and reasonable to think that. And then they soon discovered that, through other experiments, that all the elements all over the planet are now becoming unstable. And the exact wording used, because there is a rate, so it's like, where is this heading? So they're becoming unstable, but what is their rate? To what point are they going to become unstable? And the exact wording was instability infinitum. That was the words that I clearly saw on the paperwork. Instability infinitum. That is real. I saw it, I was there, and that's what I wanted to share with you. Now, knowing this, knowing that they have had knowledge of this planet turning into pure light, with this level of reality no longer existing since the early 70s. And now they are on another level finding out that this whole reality is becoming unstable. These are two of the most closely guarded secrets on the planet, and it is critical in understanding about this planet turning into a star. And people say, you are just crazy. There's nothing here to turn this planet into a star. And I've had some really, really fantastic communications with Mother Earth lately, and I urge everybody, don't take my word for it. Get it yourself from Mother Earth herself. I ask people, when was the last time you spoke to Mother Earth? When was the last time that she told you what she's doing? Don't worry about any alien agenda, political agenda,
go beyond all of that and get it straight from the source of the being that is this planet. What is she going to do? Not what aliens are telling you they're going to do. What is she going to do in the next few years? That is what I recommend everybody to do. You don't have to do it, but I highly recommend it. Go straight to the source, not because I'm telling you, okay? This isn't true because I'm telling you. This is true because this is what Mother Earth's going to do. It doesn't matter what I verbalise here, if this planet has a life cycle and has an outcome to that life cycle, that is what it's going to be. And that is part of the evolution of this universe, and it doesn't matter what anyone says, what anyone does, that is what's going to take place. Because the level of power of that consciousness is way beyond any alien race with any form of technology. And they can carry on and think themselves as big as and mighty as they like. They are nowhere near the match for the power and the consciousness of a planet, or a planetary body. Now, the discussions I've had with Mother Earth herself explained to me herself the process in layman's terms. I will admit I am not of a scientific mind. I am not. If a scientist was to sit here in front of me and ask me deep questions on scientific concepts, I haven't got a clue. But I do get knowings, and I'm going to share them with you as I understand them. And Mother Earth explained this to me in layman's terms so I can share it with everybody, and it makes it easier for everybody to understand. Because if you sit there with a biochemist and they just talk a whole lot of formulas on a board, the general community is not going to get it. That's just gobbledygook. So it is much better for me just to introduce this information on a much easier level, on a much common level. And what she shared with me was that the process that's coming, the process at hand is, in order for anyone to ascend, what must they do? What must they do, I ask you? And the answer is really simple. We must find centre. If you are not centred, then you are not in that absolute 0 point, in the absolute moment. You cannot ascend. It's just not possible. I'm on my way in getting there. I've still got a long way to go, I readily admit that. But I know I'm much further down the path than many. So, in order for Mother Earth to find centre, what does that mean? And what she explained to me is, on December 21, 2012, she is going to start straightening up on her axis because, you know, we've got this wobble happening on what we call the precession of the equinoxes. And with the cycle coming to an end on the 21st of March 2013, because remember, precession of the equinoxes, not precession of the solstices. That is a point that everyone seems to be missing. So the cycle will end on the equinox, not the solstice. I'm not undermining the importance of December 21, 2012. It is very important because that is the day she starts to find centre again. So she's about 23 degrees off centre, and that wobble will come to an end because that wobble was created as an aspect of duality in order to create the environment of duality and separation that we needed. So she's going to start straightening up. So yes, there will be what is deemed a pole shift. Not a pole flip, but a pole shift. And so that process is going to take a period of 3 months. And what she explained to me was the moment she hits dead centre will be on the 21st of March 2013, and that is the day the light body gets activated. Now, the other part of the process that goes symbiotic with that is that this reality is speeding up. And coincidentally, you know, just another coincidence, right, apparently, the propaganda on the planet is that she's slowing down. Now, okay, why would people be saying that? So, all I've got to ask you is, you know, because I totally disagree with that. I know that Mother Earth is speeding up. I know that my atoms are spinning faster. I know that my molecules are vibrating faster. And I know that I'm experiencing this reality much faster. The days are flying past. There's less hours in the day. If the planet was slowing down, the days would be getting longer. We'd be experiencing much longer days than what we are. But we are actually experiencing the opposite. So I don't know about you, but everyone around me that I know, and people from all over the world that I speak to, everyone's experiencing time speeding up. So I've got it from Mother Earth herself. I've got my experiences to go by. So this theory of Mother Earth slowing down, sorry, doesn't cut it for me. So she's speeding up, and she's going to reach a critical rate of spin. If you look at our makeup, what is our makeup? From an energetic point of view, we are 7 main and many sub-energetic centres, which are whirling vortices of energy. What is our physical construct? We have atoms, which are electrons with protons, flying in nucleuses with electrons and protons and whatever, flying, spinning around in circles. You know, we again spinning balls of energy. Lots of them. So what's going to happen is the rate of spin of our atoms is speeding up, and the more spin you have, the quicker your molecules then vibrate, and the rate of vibration of the molecule determines the density of matter. So if you were to travel to the 5th dimension, for example, or the higher reaches of the 4th dimension, let's say that for example, your atoms spin so much faster that you have a different level of density, because your molecules vibrate faster. So that determines what level of reality you occupy. Now, in order for us to ascend, means our atoms need to spin faster, molecules are going to vibrate faster. Now, people say it is the most ridiculous and absurd thing they have ever heard of this planet turning into a star. Well, first of all, from a universal perspective, it's an everyday occurrence. So, you know, it's a normal thing. It happens all over the universe on a regular basis, so what's the big deal, you know? Get over it. You just got to look at it from the bigger perspective. Now, when the atoms spin faster, it's symbiotically going to reach a critical point where the molecules are actually going to end up falling apart, because this whole reality has to fall apart. Now, what else is happening is, symbiotically, is Mother Earth needs to find centre. So basically, we all need to implode or turn inside out, because you've got to go within, right, in order to obtain a higher level of consciousness or state of being. So Mother Earth needs to do the same. So I'm going to put this to you and just see how you feel about it. One of the reasons, or I would say the reason, of the sea levels rising is not because the ice caps are melting, but has actually got to do with the fact that gravity is increasing. And I, again, and many people I know from all over the world, are experiencing days where the body feels incredibly heavy, and it's very arduous to actually physically get around. And there's a lot of tiredness and a lot of heaviness in the body. So there's another experience that many people are having. So many people are experiencing the increase in gravity. Now, what is decreasing is the magnetic field. So do not get the two mixed up, please, because many people do. And yes, the magnetic field is decreasing, but gravity is increasing in order for Mother Earth to find centre. Now, what's happening is, because of that, is the external shell of the planet, the plates, are actually being slightly bending in, they're flexing in towards centre, and therefore you're having a level in the oceans. So, an increase in level of the oceans. Please consider. Now, at the point of time when Mother Earth decides to turn into a star or ascend, to become a being of light, because that's what Ascension is, and so many people seem to miss that point as well, is that the outer crust will actually cave in on itself, and that's, You know, when I saw the movie recently, 2012, I thought, wow, when they were showing the scenes of the Earth's crust just falling in on itself, that just hit me right deep in here, because I know that's what's coming. And a lot of people I spoke to who watched that movie as well, that part of the movie is so true. It will occur. And everybody's just consumed with fear around this subject, because apparently this is the end of the world and we're all going to die and it's all going to be horrible, and that's just ridiculous, because practically no one's going to be on the surface of the planet when that's happening anyway. We all either would have, you know, gone through the doorways or gone off planet, off world to our, you know, with extraterrestrial people who, for those who want to go with them. So the moment that happens, it goes in towards Cinder, she implodes, and at the same time the atoms reach that critical spin, the molecules fall apart, and once the plates move in enough, the oceans are going to reclaim the surface of the planet, okay? So the plates will go below the ocean. The water will reclaim the surface of the planet. Now this is all going to take over a period of 3 months in its intensity. The lead up to that is going to start, it's already started, and we're already seeing bits and pieces of it, but over the next 3 years it's still going to start to get really intense. But the main part of it will be between December 21, 2012 and March 21, 2013, or the equinox. It could be March 20 or 22. It's the equinox, whatever day it will land on. So the moment that critical rate of spin is attained, the molecules fall apart, and people say there's nothing here to activate it into a star. Well, gee, let me think for a moment. Water. H2O. What does that tell you? We're going to have 2 atoms of hydrogen and 2 atoms of, and a single atom of oxygen. The planet will be completely covered in hydrogen and oxygen and whatever nitrogen is still in the atmosphere and what have you. And when it implodes, the whole thing will ignite and begin to burn, and there you have it. So contemplate that. I got it from Mother Earth. I know in my heart what processes are about to happen. For those who think there's nothing here to ignite this incredible planetary body into a light being, I would seriously think again. So here we have a planetary body totally covered in an ocean of 2 of the most flammable gases in the universe, hydrogen and oxygen. And I think it's just something to really seriously take into consideration, because of, like I said, my discussions with Mother Earth. And it makes sense. It's all here. It's all here for it to occur. I wish to share with you a recent experience that I had. I found myself in the etheric realm a few nights ago, and I was gathering knowledge and information on that level for me. And I was in a room, and in walked an American Indian, his wife, and a bit of a medicine sort of lady as well. And the American Indian instantly manifested a 2.5 red cedar lounge next to me. Now, this wasn't a dream. I was in the etheric level, what I call the etheric. It wasn't the astral, it was beyond that. And he manifested 2 single red chairs. One for his wife and one for the other lady. And he laid down on the 2.5 cedar. And he turned around. I turned around, and as he went to sit, we actually first acknowledged each other. And in that acknowledgement, in that moment, because that's what happens in the higher realms, you instantly get the knowledge of who that person is and what have you. And I found out that the name of this being was called Sitting Bull. And I'm not that familiar with the history of the Native Americans.
But someone told me that Sitting Bull is a very well-respected Indian chief that has been and gone, but still is very much respected in the medicine world today. And he looked at me, and I'm going to read this from a piece of paper because when I came back from this experience, I did not go back to sleep. I was fully alert in the etheric, came back into my body, fully alert instantly, got out of bed. It was 4:32 a.m. and I went straight, got out of bed and explained to my beloved the experience I just had and went to write it down so I wouldn't forget anything, because Sitting Bull urged me to do that as well. And he said to me, "We have come to know that you are the one making profound statements in relation to our natural environment." And I looked at him, and because I'm in a greater state of being than my lower personality and ego of George, my higher self stepped in and said, "The overwhelming majority of the energy in relation to the coming process is creativity. But everyone seems to want to focus on the deconstruction of this level of reality, which is the much smaller portion of energy, and through fear making that the greater and even the whole. After all, is not the energy of God, the Creator, all about creativity?" And in that moment his eyes went wide open, his heart opened up, completely resonated with what I'd shared with him, and got up to leave. And in our greeting he imbued with me much love and, I would say, respect. And I felt completely honoured to have been in the presence of such a great man myself. I walked around for days on such a high after that experience. So I wanted to share that experience with you because it is about creativity. The information that I share is not based on doom and gloom. I'm providing you with the appropriate information for the coming changes, because there's so much out there doing the rounds at the moment, and most of it is based on information that has been around for thousands of years, which has been manipulated over thousands of years, which has also been in relation to cycles, previous cycles, and the outcomes. What's happening here is brand new. It is a birthing of a new way of life in the whole entire universe. We are not running over the same old ground, which are familiar words to a song. This is new. New codes, new energetic patterns. If you want to know what is happening here, what is about to happen here, go and speak to Mother Earth yourself. Speak to the woman who is this magnificent being that has endured such ravages over such an incredible long period of time. It is not all about negativity and doom and gloom. It is about celebrating the birthing of a new life. I say it again. I would like to leave you now with a couple of thoughts. Even though my expression has been a little bit intense at times, it is necessary in getting this information across to people in a certain format, in a certain way. I'm expressing myself in this way because I'm working intuitively, and some people may judge me in certain ways, and that's fine. I'm totally at peace with that. And the DVD that we have I've just shared with you is one with a slightly heavier tone to it, energetically speaking. The next DVD, I'll be bringing out a series over the next 12 months or so. There'll be more of them more often, and more information is coming, and understandings and knowledge and experiences, and it has to do more with the understanding of our ascension, the doorways, and the divine feminine. And these are more of the areas and more of the flavour of what's to come in the DVDs ahead. So just wanted to share that with you. I wish to leave you with a couple of parting thoughts. One of them is it's all coming together because it's all falling apart. I love that saying. And I really urge everyone to speak to Mother Earth herself. I share this information to give people a greater perspective and a greater understanding of the processes at hand and the coming processes in the very near future. It's really about creativity, it's about birthing a new life, it's about letting go of the old paradigms, understanding that they need to fall away. This reality needs to deconstruct. You cannot have enlightenment in a natural environment that still is completely barbaric at times. You know, animals feeding off other animals, plants feeding off other plants, animals feeding off plants. You know, this whole reality is, in its current design, one of consummation. It's all about consuming one another in order to survive. And so it makes perfect sense if you just understand that this level of reality, the ecosystem, the natural environment must go. It's served its purpose. It's for the epoch, for the era that we have been in. That is what was required. For this new era, this new epoch, a new way of life is required, and that is that even the ecosystem in its entirety lives off light energy, and no being consumes any other being in order to survive. And everyone does live in harmony and is in a much broader level of consciousness. So broad, I won't even go into that in this video. That will be a discussion for another time. In order to be able to connect with Mother Earth and have connections like I have, one thing you must be able to do, and I've got a good friend of mine, Vic, who shared with me a statement the other day, and I realised that this is what I actually do. Because a lot of people ask me, well, how can I do this? What do I have to do? Do I have to meditate in a certain way? Do I have to take a certain substance? I can assure you there is no shortcuts to this. You know, I'm hearing all these different substances people are taking, and there is no shortcut. If you are going to take a substance in order to attain a higher level of consciousness or enlightenment, you will only go to the top of the fourth dimension. You will not breach that void. So you cannot do it via any external means whatsoever. And what my friend Victor said to me is, be available to yourself. I love that, because that is exactly what I do. It's get George and the mind out the way, and I become available to the greater me. And just be available to yourself. It is really that simple. Simplicity is the key, and we're all capable of doing it. The other parting comment that I would like to share with you is the word together. Essentially, what does that word mean? And in order for all of us to come together, if you break it up into 3 words, it's to get her. So essentially what that means is
to get her means to understand her. In order to bring ourselves together within ourselves, the fragmented aspects of our own beings, to bring all that together, we also need to connect with that feminine aspect which has been divided, which has been tormented for so long within ourselves. So that's another parting comment which I wanted to share, to please think about that, contemplate it, ponder on it, and see how that feels, how that resonates with you. So on behalf of myself and on behalf of Mother Earth, I'd like to wish you all the love in the world, all the love in the universe, in its eternity, and its entirety and its eternity. And I'd love to wish you liberation, symbolising freedom from oppression, freedom from the matrix, and the freedom of the spirit, and fortitude, symbolising our inner fort, our inner castle, our inner strength and our centeredness. Thank you once again. Love, liberation, and fortitude.